Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to be going over SRAM's Motive and Maven brakes, why I think it's a great brake for you. I've been using them for about a year. Well, I've been using the Mavens for about a year and the Motives for a few months. Haven't had any issues, so I just want to give you guys some insight if you're looking for an upgrade for your mountain bike. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go over my journey so far with brakes. I used to use Hope brakes. I used to use TRP, Shimano. I've used it all, and I've always hated the SRAM brakes in the past. I hated the G2s, I hated the codes, I hated the guides, I hated the levels. I've tried them all in the past, hated them. Then they did this big redesign with the Mavens last year. They took out the codes, and then they made the Motives and took out the G2s and the guides. And these brakes have blown me away. I've had no issues. These brakes are meant out of the box to be fine-tuned, so you can't just slap them on, do a quick bleed. You need to put them on, massage the pistons, do a pass-through bleed, do a ride or two, go back, do a bleed, and you'll be set. A lot of people don't do that, so they run into issues, sticky pistons, etc. Make sure you guys do that if you snag these brakes, either one, because it'll improve your riding style. SRAM is also recommended, again, they don't even recommend. Brakes are meant to be tunable, right? You gotta fine tune them to your riding style, whether it's 2.0 rotors, 2.0 thickness rotors, 1.8, 2.3. There's so many things out there. Brake pads, you can use different brand brake pads with, other brand brakes. So sintered, metallic, standard, everything. It's meant to be fine-tuned, just like your suspension, just like your bike, Geo, just like your tires now. You're supposed to fine-tune your tires with PSI, this, that. So same thing with brakes. Some people just slap on brakes and they think that's it. Fine-tune it to your riding style. So again, I've been using the Maven brakes for a year, the Motive brakes for a few months, and the Mavens have been great. I've been using the Ultimate, so it has the titanium hardware. It's got the swing link technology, which is amazing. These brakes have such a thick, big caliper in the rear held on by 4 bolts. It's insane. So it's one of the most powerful brakes on the market. And again, I used to use so many other brakes and they were fine. I dabbled with a lot. I used to only be a Hope Tech 3 fan, the older ones. The Tech 4s, I hated. They were, I guess they were okay, but so many problems. And then I had the V4s, not even just the E4s, and never jived with them. So again, was super pumped to try out the Mavens a year ago, and they've just been the best. But I think it's a great brake if you're going at high speeds, because it's so powerful that if you're not going fast, I guess all the time, and you're just doing slower trail riding, and stuff like that, it's a very jerky brake. So again, know your riding style. If you're going a bit faster on the trails, the park, etc., the Mavens are going to do a great job. The Motives, they replaced it with the G2s, and it's kind of a mix. They took out the G2s, they took out the codes, they took out the guides, and kind of made the Motive. And that's for the lower travel bikes. You'll see those a lot for the cross-country circuits and lighter trail bikes. And then the Mavens are kind of designed for the higher travel trail bikes and the enduro and downhill. But the Motives, don't get me wrong, they've been amazing on my cross-country bike and my low travel trail bike. I'm building up a Stump Jumper Evo 15 in about a week, which will be an amazing video for you guys on the channel. And I'll be able to put content out like crazy with that bike for a few months, also comparing to the Evo the Epic 8 Evo. But I would use the Motive brakes on a high travel trail bike because they're that good. It's not just a cross country brake. Again, they kind of are making it to have like code-like power, which I think it's way better than the codes because I didn't like the codes. It was spongy. They don't have a spongy feeling at all. So the Motives have been great. But again, back to the Mavens, I think that if you're doing more aggressive riding, that's a great brake. Again, if it's a little less aggressive, nothing wrong with that crazy braking power, but it is such an intense bite point and jerk if you're going slow. So it's a little harder to modulate at lower speeds versus higher speeds. And these brakes are easy to service. The new SRAM line it ditches the dot fluid, you use mineral oil. It has the bleed edge technology, so it's a simple pass through. And not as much finicky stuff, very easy to work at home, very easy to source parts. So it's not like you would be out of brake if you're trying to find like a Hope part or in the US or some other, smaller brand. But again, they've really developed and put together a great package for the customer. But again, when you're setting up the brakes, can't stress it enough. I did this, so I didn't experience not doing it, but you want to massage the pistons front and back, or front brake and back brake, and then you want to bleed it. So even if it feels good after, bleed it, because it won't feel as good if you don't. Do a few rides, and then I recommend re-bleeding it, like a final bleed, just in case, you know, things get trapped behind the pistons, etc., or behind the pistons, etc. So if you do a re-bleed, hey buddy, if you do a re-bleed after your first 2 rides maybe, then you'll have the ultimate feel. So again, just want to give you guys some insight, because I think it's crazy that if you buy an $8,500 bike, which I've seen, some of the e-bikes do that, and some of the non-e-bikes do that, and it comes with DB8s. Nothing wrong with the SRAM DB8s, but those should be coming on a $3,000 bike. You should be at least getting the base Mavens or the Motives on either build, whichever type of bike you're getting. So if you're coming off of a bike that has bad brakes, I would recommend getting these. And if you already have these and you're not a fan, hey, to each his own. There's so many brakes out there. You know, you don't need to be a keyboard warrior right now typing in the comments, these are the worst brakes, because I think there's a brake for everyone. My experience with this brake has been super positive. I've had a great time, and I'm very in tune with my bike on what I choose and what works for me, whether it be tire, suspension, you know, handlebars, brakes, rotors, that I've been through it all throughout the years. And, you know, and I guess ignorance is bliss, right? Because now if I use a bike that is stock, or I'm trying something out, like I have to have it the way I need it, you know, I need to have it, like my setup. So that can also be a con, because it might be harder for me to enjoy a bike nowadays if I don't have it exactly to my setup. So again, everyone has their own preference. There's a setup for everyone. So for me, like one of the other key points I love about the Mavens is the bite point. I love that these have such a great lever throw. The leverage is nice. It uses a swing link, so it does not pull to my knuckle even when I, you know, adjust the bite point, the lever throw, all of that. It's such a firm brake platform. So the lever throw is a bit stiff pulling it. That is something you'll read, but I'm a fan of that, so I don't really care. I mean, I'm a mountain biker. My hands are powerful enough, my fingers to pull the lever, but you know, again, I've been liking that. The Ultimates use titanium hardware, also has a really cool stealth look. I will do a video of base Mavens and base Motives versus the Ultimate versions of each. And I think it'll really help more for the Mavens, because the Maven bases don't use a bite point adjust. And I think that if without the bite point adjust, if it feels just as good and the bite isn't super close to the knuckle, that's a game changer, because you guys could be saving hundreds and not have to feel like you need the Ultimate. So I'll be doing that. I'm gonna do it with the Motives also, but the Motives already don't have a bite point adjust. And I've always used bite point adjust, you know, brake levers in the past. I wouldn't get a brake without it, unless it was Shimano, but I ditched those quick. Wasn't the biggest Shimano fan, but the Motives have not had an issue with pulling close to my knuckle. It's amazing. So it's the first brake that I felt comfortable with, and now I'm a fan of maybe not having a bite point adjust. So again, if the Mavens can be just as good without having that for a base model, and not just getting it on the Silver and Ultimates, could save a lot of money. And there's 3 tiers to each brake. You have the base for the Maven, then Silver, then Ultimate. Same thing for the Motives. So again, 3 types of brakes. For the Mavens, you don't get the bite point adjust unless you get the Silver or Ultimate. The base does not. And on the Motives, there's already no bite point adjust, so it's really just the way that they're setting up the caliper and the lever as far as weight and what parts they're using. You know, it does change between each one, so you can't just mix and match, you know, certain levers or, you know, and other parts for the brake. And again, guys, like I said, I've been through it all. I'm super pumped that I've been enjoying these brakes. You know, nothing's worse than spending money and you don't enjoy something, but they've done such a great job refining their lineup. And I also love that it uses mineral oil and not dot fluid anymore. So not as bad bleeding, and, you know, a lot safer if you're paranoid about dot fluid. But they've done such a great job on refining their brakes. Again, I'm going to use the word hate. I hated their brakes in the past, and now I'm the biggest fan. So I, again, can't can't stress it enough. Give it a shot if you've never tried them, or if you're interested in a really good upgrade for your bike off the bat. I think it's, I think brakes are important. You should have the stopping power you want. Again, these brakes are meant to be tuned for your liking. So if they don't feel great out of the box, don't give up yet. Fine tune them, mix and match rotor sizes, thicknesses, pads, etc. That's what SRAM's trying to incorporate now with almost everything they pump out, whether it be suspension, brakes, etc. You should be fine tuning your stuff to your liking, not just out of the box stock. So again, try these brakes out, guys. Hope I provided some insight for you guys. I'm excited for next week's video. I have, again, Stumpjumper 15 Evo frame set, so I'll be able to do some great comparison videos between the Stumpjumper lineup and the Epic lineup. So we'll have like a little battle back and forth between those bikes. Like and subscribe to the channel. Almost at 1,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. Again, see you next time.